Welcome back, everyone, to the second episode of the Force Adulthood podcast. We're super excited to be here. Everyone's real excited. We're happy to be here. I'm Mark. My name is Mark Thompson. For those of you who haven't listened to the first episode, and we're back with the boys. If everyone else wants to introduce themselves, real quick.
Yep, I'm Alan. I'm doing good. We're vibing over here from Dallas, Texas.
I'm Henry. Super excited to be back for this episode, second episode.
Yep, and I'm Lavier. I'm in Ohio. So we're all in different states, well, except for Henry and Mark, but we're all excited to be back and get another episode going. So thanks for joining us.
Yes, thanks for everybody who listened to our first episode as well. We just had just over 100 listeners, and we're all ecstatic about that because that was by far exceeded our expectations, and we're just hoping to have that number grow. So if you really enjoyed the first episode, or if you haven't listened to it, please go and give us a listen and show us some love and support that way. Follow us on Instagram. It'll be a great time, and we're always going to have this new content coming out a little bit more frequently. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that. But today we'll go ahead and jump right into this episode of the podcast, and I wanted to talk with you guys about something that I've really seen as of late, and that's people that are waiting for happiness to come into their lives. And I just kind of want to pause on that phrase really quick and see what you guys think about that phrase, just waiting for happiness. What do you guys take on that and all that things? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll go. Waiting on happiness. For me, like we kind of talked about it last episode, but sometimes there's just this mindset of like, okay, I'm gonna finish the summer out and then I'll be happy once I go to college, or I'll be happy once I move out of my house, or I'm just waiting for this or that. And sometimes that can work. But sometimes that's really tough to just to be happy. So I remember like one summer, I think it was like 2 summers ago, I was just like everything I was like, I'm just so excited to go to college. And until I get there, like my happiness is kind of like irrelevant, because once I hit college, like that's my time to be happy. And like it was a pretty rough summer. Like I still worked hard. I still had some good memories, excuse me, but once I got to college, I was so excited for it that it was kind of like it made that expectation a little high. So not only was I not happy in that summer, but also once I got to the point where I was like, now I'll be happy, I wasn't able to be as happy as I could have been.
Yeah, 100% agree. Similar to you, I think my story kind of starts with right when COVID hit. Um, and I've had a lot of these experiences of waiting for happiness in a lot of different points, but I was kind of reflecting on this statement a little bit and some conversations that I've had with my fiance and some other people. And one thing that kind of stuck with me is right around when COVID hit, I went back home, lived at my parents' house full time. I just said goodbye to my best friends, which were you guys, and I had no idea what was going to happen next. I just kind of got uprooted. I didn't have any work anymore. I mean, nobody exactly just enjoys living full time at their parents' house anymore, I think, at this stage. So like you're kind of back underneath their rules a little bit, and so you don't have all your freedom. And so I was kind of upset about that, and I just was thinking to myself like, all right, I just have to make it through these next few months and then I'll be happy again. And then I kind of set a goal. I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. By June, I'm gonna move back out to Rexburg, and I'll be happy once I got there. And for a few weeks, I was going great. I was happy and I was thriving, having fun with friends and all that. But then I kind of hit a lull again, and I wasn't quite sure what was missing. And I wasn't happy with myself. And then I was just thinking, okay, well, maybe it's because I'm missing somebody in my life. It's because I need to get a girlfriend. And then once that kind of came around, or once I started dating, I was like, okay, I'm good. And then you kind of start realizing maybe you're not as happy in that relationship or with this. And
Hey,
you're
you
not
know
really.
your fiance listens to this podcast, right?
Hey, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about her. I love my fiance. She's amazing. But anyways, so you just kind of realize these points in your life, what you say, you think like, oh, I just need to make it to this milestone and I'll be happy. And I was realizing that that's not the case. And by the time I ended a relationship with my girlfriend, I kind of figured, all right, you know what, I'm gonna get back on my feet, just find happiness with myself, and kind of get down to the roots of it. And then that's when I encountered my fiance, and
Thank
that's
you
when
next, baby.
thank you next. So, that's, I think that's kind of a pivotal moment. You got to dig down into the roots a little bit more and think a little bit more on what is the actual cause of your happiness and what is happiness to you. So I guess that's my next question. I don't know if anybody has an experience with this, but what is happiness? Like, what is happiness to each of you individually?
For me, I think happiness is a feeling of like belonging almost. I feel like when I'm the happiest, I feel like I'm connecting with other people. I'm able to understand what they're going through. They understand what I'm going through. And we're all just kind of going through it together. I think that's what makes me the happiest. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with Alan. Like, I liked how he said that feeling of like belonging. Um, because I know everyone likes, to be appreciated and to have those close relationships, those close friendships, that can be really meaningful. And I definitely believe that, those relationships are a fundamental key to being happy, and for like, honestly, I believe that's true for every person, and not just, some people happy or relationships make them happy, but I think in general, and I'm not talking like a boyfriend girlfriend relationship, but also, just friendships and having those meaningful relationships where you can have good conversations.
I think Lavere, you're probably one of like the experts in that realm. I know every time that we talk on the phone, you're always saying like, "Oh yeah, I just talked to this person this last week, and it was somebody that we knew like 3 semesters ago, but haven't seen since." And it's always kind of amazing. So, like, how do you find the time, or like, what do you do in those instances to keep up those relationships?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, like it's interesting. Like a lot of people say, like, oh, you're the only person in Ohio or in Rexburg or here that I still keep in touch with, right? And like that's cool, but also like every person has that ability to reach out to anyone. And so when I was thinking of like, okay, what defines me as being happy? Like I thought back on my day and like this question like is really beneficial. Like more than what we say, I think this is an awesome opportunity to go through and think, okay, what actually makes me happy? But there are two things like learning, like growth, and like relationships and love. So like for me, what makes me happiest is like helping other people and having that love for me when I go through things, like people are there for me and I'm able to be there for them. And so I don't know. I think that's what kind of motivates me to just reach out. Like I love everyone that I've talked to. I mean, not everyone, but obviously like most people are great, and so it's awesome to reach out and see how they're doing, and that makes me happy. But I don't know if
Yeah.
that answered the
No,
question
that
all the way.
that definitely does. I think there's always some part. There's somebody always has something that you can learn from them. That can be good or bad, but it doesn't mean that you have to be mean. So I really liked what you were saying, Henry. I don't know if any of you guys have any other thoughts on that or on that question that I originally posed.
Yeah, I just had one other question like with that. So like kind of maybe a follow up, but like what actions so like we say like oh relationships, like belonging, like different things, right? But like what do those specific actions look like? Like what like are we calling people? Like what are we doing that actually leads to that happiness?
Yeah, I think a lot of how I'm able to determine how happy I am is how much I'm willing to do things. It sounds super basic, um, but as I'm, playing more sports, I'm going out and I'm going to play volleyball or basketball, or I'm going to a concert, stuff like that. When I'm visiting people, that's when I feel the happiest. And so I think the way I show it is through sports. Like even if I'm playing by myself, just playing a sport in general, just there's something about it that just makes you at peace. So
So would you say it's kind of like almost the hobbies or that type of stuff that really provide that external happiness to or that self-fulfillment in there?
yeah, absolutely. I think, and especially with a sport, because you're able to, as Lavere was talking about, you're able to grow. and everyone likes growing. Um, so as you're growing, you're working on your hobbies, and it's a fun, happy thing to do. So
I think it kind of goes into that. Just to piggyback off of that, for me, I think it's about kind of learning new things as well. So like whether that's new sport, I know I love to shoot archery or go shooting, or I taught myself how to snowboard. All of those moments I can look back on and be like, wow, that was a good time. But I can also see that those moments that I kind of let those times slip a little bit, like when I'm not actively going out and participating in those hobbies, I can see a little bit less of that self satisfaction a little bit. But yeah. So how do you guys not let yourself get distracted and not, because like what I was just saying is sometimes like I let those hobbies slip or get kind of pushed back. Like how do you self what do you find yourself getting distracted by, and like how do you let yourself not find those distractions?
For me, I would just say like, just the other day, I was gonna go rock climbing with a buddy. And I love rock climbing. It's like my favorite hobby. It's something that makes me really happy. And Livier knew I was gonna mention rock climbing at some
Henry's
point.
so good at rock climbing. Just
No.
chiseled.
freaking monkey up the rocks.
No,
Yeah.
but
As a spider monkey.
I was just gonna say. So I texted my buddy and I was like, "Hey, we should go climbing." And but like right before we went, I hadn't been in like a couple weeks. And I was like feeling like, oh, do I really want to go?
A couple
You know?
weeks, Hen.
Yeah, it had
That's
been-
surprising.
He's
Damn.
Yeah,
It's
that's
been a while.
surprising.
Slacking on that. Wow.
Yeah, for like a week and a half or something.
Yeah, that sounds more like it. I knew it
Probably-
meant a week and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't been climbing for days. It's been a long time.
It's been a whole 2 days.
Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, I didn't really want to go like right before, which is, surprising. I just
That's
got
unusual.
kind of out of the habit, and but I ended up going, and like I was so glad that I did, because I, remembered like why I love it, and I felt that happiness that comes from doing that activity that, that I really enjoy, and being with, a good buddy of mine. And it was just a reminder to kind of answer your question, just make time to do things and push yourself, to do those things you love, whether it's something like you've been doing a long time, or something that you're just learning, a new hobby or whatever. Making time and just doing it, and I don't think you'll regret it, and I know that it can definitely bring happiness, even if it makes you a little bit more tired than you would be. So
So
I got
remembering the
I got
why.
a follow-up question for you. So I'm
Yeah.
guessing you were texting your friend, right?
yeah.
And he was asking, "Are you still going?" Right?
Yeah.
What helped you, like what mentally or physically helped you send the text saying, "Yes, I'm still gonna go"? 'Cause I feel like it that's just the huge dividing point. And I honestly don't know where it comes from.
Right. I I would just say, well, usually if I commit to something, I do it. Lots of times I don't commit, and I'm just like the solid maybe dude.
Solid
But-
maybe, Hen.
Amen.
He
Amen.
needs
Henry being the
he needs a
solid maybe.
t-shirt or something like that
Yeah.
that says I'm a solid
Yeah,
maybe.
that's a solid maybe.
That's a solid maybe.
But anyway, I'd committed before, and like I knew I needed to get out, and I had some free time that night. And so, I knew in the end that I would like it, and I would be glad I did it, and I was. So even though
Accountability partners
yeah.
are freaking, they're so essential to like success, I feel like. Because if you have somebody else like your friend in this instance, like you already told him that you were going to go with him to go climbing, and so since you had that commitment already, it forced you to go almost. You didn't feel like bailing out. So anybody with a sense of personal like fulfillment in that sense, I guess they have an accountability partner is great to have.
Yeah, one example of that, like so the two things that I define that bring me the most happiness are growth and relationships. So growth, I was thinking back to like through my day and was like, okay, what moments were I the happiest? And like one of those moments was like I've been like working out and like dieting and stuff, and like I stepped on the scale today, and it's like this one scale that shows you all these stats and whatnot, but like all the numbers were like where I wanted them, and like it was the most progress I've made. And I was like, this is awesome. Like that growth, just felt so proud of myself. And then I have a buddy that has been helping me with the workout plan, and so I guess the example would be that, but also I think it was our winter semester of 2020 or something like that. Mark and I went to the gym every day, and like I'm not a big gym goer. Like I often fizzle out with those things, but Mark was very good at saying like, all right, 11:30, like be there or don't be there at all. Like be there, be square, I guess would be the saying. Um, but it was awesome because I built that relationship with Mark, but also had that growth opportunity because he was there for me, which is pretty stellar, pretty awesome for me.
So would you say that kind of the principle behind this would be set a goal that has a standard, like a measurable standard to it, or like something that you could actually back it up on, whether that's climbing, you could say you have your accountability partners, like if you don't actually feel like going, you got somebody else to hold you to it, or that can go for the gym as well, or a weight standard as far as staying on the scale,
Yeah,
or
for
things like
sure.
that.
Yeah, so yeah, one thing I was reading a book that I really love. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I've read it a couple times, and every year I read it again. It's just awesome book. But today I something that I didn't pick up the first couple times. It said like everyone has this pretty much the same amount of discipline, right? So like you look at people and you're like, wow, that person's disciplined. But like the reality is, if they are put in a temptation, like a tempting situation, like they'll fall into that temptation just as quickly as anyone else. The thing that sets them aside is that they've put in different systems, right? So different cues. So like having an accountability partner, or hey, like I'm working out, this is my goal, so I'm not gonna have those cookies or whatever. So like being disciplined just takes setting up different systems, different habits that actually help us to be disciplined. And so then when the temptation comes, you don't even have to think about it. So yeah, the principle I would say would accountability partners, other things like that.
So setting up a plan to make yourself
Exactly.
so kind of, yeah, a game plan already, or a
Yep.
battle strategy, whatever you want to call it, just so when something comes up, you know exactly how to handle it. I like it.
Yeah.
I like
I
it.
don't know. Alan, did you have any other thoughts on that? Have you seen that in your life, or am I crazy for that?
No, I just wanted to agree. I mean, this all started from the question of how do you save yourself when you're, falling into a state of unhappiness. And even though these principles of like thinking of the end result and having a partner that'll keep you accountable can relate to everything, I think relating it to happiness is such a huge principle that we should all try focusing on. So I agree. I know that every time, I mean, we all serve missions and you're always with a companion. And I think, well, some of us serve for a little longer than others, but um, you're always with a companion, and that companion is supposed to keep you accountable. And I know that that's certainly for a purpose. So I love having accountability partners. I think that's kind of what we all are. I mean, we're able to check in on each other, see how we're doing. If we're falling into a rut, we're able to help each other out. So,
With that, some of those people that you're with, as far as your accountability partner, are some of like the most strict people ever, and they like you can hardly go to the bathroom without them like having a strict schedule. Like some people are more lenient, like with our time or our schedules and that type of stuff. So like it's definitely not the people that make it happy, because I remember some of those strict people. I also remember that being some of like the most accomplishing times that I had while I was over there, because I was able to kind of, like you were saying, Alan, like there was that accountability. I knew who I was, like where we were supposed to go. If we didn't meet this goal, then we would reevaluate it and say, all right, this is what's next. And so those times I really did find a lot more self-fulfillment out there and a lot more happiness, because we were accomplishing the things that we were really setting out to do with. Whereas when we didn't have those goals or plans with other companionships that I might have had, or maybe someone else wasn't on the same track as me with those goals, then like thing just went off the rail, and we just were so unhappy. Both of us were always like getting mad at each other, and so it was interesting. But
Yeah, just talking about that, I want to talk about Mason, who we both know, Randall.
oh
Last
yeah,
name? Yeah.
yeah.
Um, he was such a great like example
Mhm.
for me. He always kept me in check. I helped keep him in check, but he was just so obedient. And
Yeah.
like I maybe we had arguments, but I don't really remember them. I remember having so much fun those 2 or 3 months that we were together. It
I
was just
remember I
awesome.
remember you guys like every now and then like I'd see one or either one of you just kind of upset, but overall I remember the vibe of that companionship, or that team, I guess we can call it, was all around positive because you guys had those goals. He is a powerhouse. That guy
And
knows how
the
to make a
people
goal.
we were with, I mean, man, we were loving it. Everything about it those
Mhm.
2 3 months. It was just awesome. So yeah, that was a great example.
I think that's pretty interesting though, because it's this idea of like that's a strong mix of the two things that I mean the two ideas that of relationships and growth, right? So like the people that push you and help you grow are like the most solid relationships. So like when someone can walk up to you and be like, "Hey, man, like I remember one semester, like Mark came to me in my room and was like, dude, you need to get your crap together. Like, you're not being nice. Like, these things are happening. Like, dude, get it together." And like, at first, just sitting there, be like, dude, what the heck? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, who do you
Yeah, you
think you
take
are?
it really personally at first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then,
absolutely.
and then then later I'm thinking, okay, that man, like, Mark, like, he's so helpful for me to grow, right? Like the relationships that are like willing to just like tear into you, also, if they do it right, are the most growth inducing and the strongest bonds that you can have. And for me, it's the same when I can just tear in, be like, "Henry, dude, you got to go climbing." No, I'm just kidding. Never have to say that.
Dude,
But
I was just really tired that you didn't make me pizza rolls in like 2 days. So I
yeah,
just
dude.
needed to get out of your room and start getting going, you know.
Yeah, the pizza rolls. Yeah.
Pizza rolls
We
were
didn't play
suffering.
enough Xbox that
Yeah,
week
we
or
didn't play enough
something.
Xbox. Yeah, it's probably true. But no,
Yeah.
I kind of go along in the same, if you don't mind, that we keep going on this a second. But I had a companion, um, this guy named Matthew Morgan. When I was with him, this guy legit, there was not a second that we didn't have planned out. Like if we weren't out of bed at like 7:30 on the dot or whenever the time was, then like he'd be talking to me in the morning and be like, dude, I feel so bad because we didn't go out and we started doing this. And like we had such a beneficial relationship, or like team, that way, because he was on the ball that entire time, but I was so stressed throughout that entire companionship, that entire time, those 3 months or whatever that we were together. We could not like do anything out of order, and I was always just tired. I was kind of upset a little bit, but by the end of that time, when I found out that we were getting split up, he handed me a letter and said, "Here's all the things that I saw you grow and improve on, and like this is all of your great qualities." And it was a super long list of all these awesome qualities, and it helped me realize like, oh man, like I didn't realize that I was doing this or this, and like it helped me realize this guy was hard on me, but it was good. So it was like doing these hard things really also, I started to realize, makes you a better person. It forces you to be. It's the refiner's fire. And you gotta do hard things, whether that's, I don't know, just working out, waking up and working out, or reading a book. Doing these hard things is what's going to make you be a better person all
Exactly.
around. Feel happy
So,
and
so were
accomplished.
you happy during those 3 months that you were with him?
You know, like there was times that I could say maybe not as happy as I could have been, because I was in the grind, I was just like tired. I just wanted to sleep or like have a little bit of leeway in a thing, but like in the end, that's what your accountability partner is there for. And both of you, and I'm sure I did the same to him. I'm sure he wasn't always on the top of his game some days, and I'm sure I was. Once we got in that routine, I was also like, hey man, let's go and do this. We're up at 7:30. If he wanted to sleep in a second, then I was on his butt and saying, hey, let's go. Well, not like that, Alan. Anyways, don't give me that look. So there's times, yes, that I probably wasn't the happiest. but there's also, looking back on it, those were probably some of the most self-fulfilled times ever. So
Yeah, I can agree with you, Mark, on kind of your experiences. Like, I know, all missionaries say like, oh, or lots of return missionaries will say that was the greatest time of my life, on my mission or things like that. And honestly, I think because it is so hard, that is why a lot of people say that. I can say the same for myself, that that was probably one of the happiest times of my life, because like I was growing so much and I was stretching, and I had that accountability partner, companions, and people around me, that I could rely on, and that inspired me to keep going. And also just want to like mention like the spiritual side of it as well. I'm sure that was a big part of my happiness during that time as well. And I think for me, trying to make time for that now, being home and being a college student and working, and all the different things that we juggle in our life, I think having and developing that spirituality still is super important to happiness. At least in my
Right.
experience. So
Well, and what do you think the difference is? Because we all mentioned like maybe we weren't as happy, but I don't know. We also say that's a very happy time. So what's the difference in like enjoyment and happiness?
mm-hmm.
Like how does that
it's good.
play into what we do just in general?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I would say enjoyment is something that might be a little bit easier in my mind. You might enjoy watching a movie. You might enjoy
Pizza rolls.
eating a big meal, or like some junk food or whatever it is. Whatever. Um, yeah, pizza rolls or whatever it is. And I would say happiness might be something that takes more effort to develop, and something that requires good habits, and really pushing yourself. Um, and I know we all know that feeling of like when we're like waking up on time, we're going to um, our classes, we're staying on top of our homework, we're going to work, and giving it our all those things that like we know we should do, that make us feel good about ourselves.
That we
Right.
totally do. Yeah.
Yeah, we never
Yeah.
miss class. We always do our
Never.
We
homework.
always wake
We're
up on
always,
time.
Yeah,
every
always.
assignment is always on time. Always.
Never miss
I
an
did my
assignment.
homework
I don't
last night.
have like 3 missing assignments right now.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Anyway, yeah, like
Henry's like the things that I do, I guess.
No, like it's hard to stay on top of everything. But I know we all, like, at least me, I'm definitely happiest when I feel like I'm on top of things.
Yeah.
And so just trying to do those things, make little goals, and trying to keep yourself accountable with by
Yeah.
yourself or with others is super important. So.
I was thinking, so like we had the outline, so I was driving around while I was looking through the outline of what we were talking about today. And like if you know me, you know I love Christmas. So I was listening to Christmas music while I was just looking through this outline,
It's
like normal.
June or July, sorry.
Yeah.
July.
So we're about 6 months away from Christmas.
You
but
know what that means? Christmas music and
Christmas,
lights in 1 month.
absolutely.
Maximum.
Yep. We're setting up our Christmas tree. No, but I was just trying to think like, do I just enjoy Christmas or am I truly happy during Christmas time? And I think like it's kind of both, right? Because like you got everyone just all happy, but at the same time, like what makes me happy is love in those relationships. And during Christmas is a time that everyone's looking for that love. Like you you walk down the street in the summer in July and no one's like, "Hey, Merry Christmas," that's whack, but no one's like going out of their way to go talk to you. But during Christmas time, like everyone's like, "Hey, hope you have a happy holiday." Even just a store clerk, like anyone you interact with is all happy. And so thinking about that, I was like, why don't I do that all the time? Like, why don't I go out of my way to reach out to people just on the regular, just like, hey, like, I hope you have a great Christmas. Or I mean, obviously not Christmas, but like, hey, I hope your day's going great. Like, I don't know. The point I'm trying to make is we can be happy by doing those small things, even when it's not Christmas. I don't know. I just love Christmas, so maybe that
So
was the whole point.
I've got one more question. I think that's great, Lavere, but I do have one question that I want to kind of pose to everybody before we I don't know how much longer we're going, but what is one piece of advice? Like, what is the one thing that you would give to somebody that's kind of struggling for happiness right now, that's not exactly sure if they're happy or any of that? What is the one piece of advice that you would give all of them? And if we can, I would like to start with Alan, if you can hop on that right now.
One piece of advice would be to do something. I think the more you keep yourself occupied, the happier you're able to be. If you set a goal for something in the future, that'll end up helping you out a lot. So
Awesome. Henry?
That was a really good one, Alan. I was honestly thinking that, but I would also say service, going out and forgetting about yourself. It's easy to say, hard to do sometimes, but just go out and try and help someone have a better day and build a relationship while you're at it, which can be really meaningful and can, just add a lot to your day.
Awesome. Lavere, let's hear from you.
I got a couple. Well, one of them was what I
said
just
one
ranted
piece of
about.
advice, man.
Okay.
Come on.
All right. Well, the first one is the one I just ranted about Christmas. Just reaching out to people. The other 3 or 4 would be music for sure, dancing, obviously, and then humor. Like, just have fun in life. Like, it's just, we're here to have fun, so don't mess
Don't
up.
take
why
life
we're
so
here.
seriously.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was a 4th. Don't take yourself too seriously. Like realize even when, I don't know, one of the happier times is when I was like legitimately depressed and I was just sitting there just like, this sucks. But then just laughing at like how terrible it was. I don't know, maybe that's like really messed up, but like that just made me happy in the moment of like, wow, this is funny. Like, I don't know. That's, maybe we'll have to edit this out of the podcast. But for me, like that's really helpful. Like, just don't take yourself too seriously. Yeah, just enjoy it. I don't know. Maybe, sorry if, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll edit that, but
No, I actually think that's really important. Well, I think an aspect of that is really important. When I think I like
Thanks.
my one advice would be that, like, reflect back on your life and find those moments that you would say that you were truly happy. I feel like everybody at least has to have one when they feel like they were truly happy. Maybe not, and if not, then I'll kind of get to that, what my advice would be. But reflect on back when you could say that that was a joyful time of your life, and start writing down the things that you were doing. What routine did you have? What people were in your life that influenced that positive attitude? Or kind of reflect again and say, oh, wow, hey, that was kind of messed up, but like, I'm happy now because I'm realizing the different things that we're doing. And if you can't ever like think of a time in your life that you really have been happy, then I would say it kind of goes down to what Alan was saying, and do something. You got to start reaching out, trying new things, even though it could be scary. Go on a hike, go outside and just live a little bit that way, and just start trying things until you find that thing that makes you happy. You might go on a hike, or you might go try climbing and be like, wow, that sucked, I'm never doing it again. But hey, at least you're trying to do things and trying to get out there and be more active. And I think that's great. And I think that's what will really help you become happier in the long run. So I guess that's kind of the point. Don't wait for happiness. Get out and do stuff and keep reflecting. But does anyone else have any other comments? Were y'all feeling good?
yeah, I think that's it.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. That was a great podcast. Thanks again for listening to the second episode of the Forced Adulthood podcast. Go follow us on Instagram at Forced Adulthood and give us a listen on any of the other podcasting sites, and refer us to your friends. It'll be great. Well, thanks, everyone, and have a great one.
See See y'all.
Deuces.
Bye.